Hello and welcome to the Music Survival Guide, the independent musician's guide on how to survive in the music industry. My name's Phil, a mixing engineer. Hope you're doing wonderfully, marvellously well. This time of year, this is my favourite time of year when it's all dark outside and you can be all cosy inside, but then there we go. I'm just weird like that, I think. So this week I've got an interview and I'm chatting with most of the guys from Sabotage. It's a really fun chat, really slightly goes off the rails at a few points, but we just about hold it together. So we discuss things like organising your rehearsal time effectively, dealing with difficult gig situations and overcoming them, and the sort of look up from your pint moment that they tried to get into every song. They wanted me to point out a few things that we just didn't quite mention in the interview, so I'm going to do it now. Their EP, Violation of Content Policy, is available online wherever you find music. I mixed it, so it'd be really cool if you listen to it. It's really fun music, really worth a listen. Secondly, if you want to see them play in the next few months, then they're playing the Skate Farm fundraiser the end of November. They're playing the Fighting Cocks in January as part of Undercover Festival, and they're playing the Suburbs in Guildford in February. So go to their social media. There'll be a link in the description below if you want to go and have a look for information about that. And all I'm just going to say is on with the interview. So, today on the podcast, I am joined by 2/3 of Sabotage. How are you all?
Yeah, good.
Very well.
Yeah, great, thank you.
Thanks for having us, Phil.
Welcome. So, my first question, as always, is from an online random question generator. And my first question for you is, what is something that you own but you've never used?
Surely the tech heads can answer a good one on that. Some kind of pedal or...
Good judgment.
Good judgment.
Financial planning.
I've got on the nerdy side. I've got a one of those sub kick mics that you put in front of the kick drum. Now it's looks like a speaker, but it's actually a mic. Got one of those. Saw Ash Stone use it. Thought, well, I obviously need one of those in my life. And then it's just sat there gathering dust and about to go on eBay again, basically. So,
I have a which I found in a house clearance in Sunningdale when I used to do house removals. I found a Sony stereo mic that literally looks like a hammerhead shark that apparently was used a lot in the 70s and 80s to bootleg record concerts. That's what it was most used.
Oh, cool.
According to Reddit, but it doesn't react to anything. And it's got in a lovely leather pouch case. I don't know the name of it, Sony stereo head mic. And it's got 2 jack inputs that you can put into something, but I've plugged it into various things and no signal. But it's just one of those things that I think is, apparently you could use it for recording a whole drum kit, and I've not used it.
Oh, you had to say something cool, didn't you? Do you know what I mean? All I'm thinking of now...
You've got a bread maker or something?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Mum's immediately gone to the kitchen, and
I've thought of a musical one in the meantime. So during COVID, I decided it would be a really good idea to invest in a really old valve amp made by Sun. And I have never used it.
Why?
And because it weighs as much as the Sun, a Sans amp will kind of do the job for me. And I think it's always one of those things. I've always wanted to wheel it out for recording, but it just weighs so much, so it just sits in my parents' garage. All covered up and very well looked after, but maybe it needs some love. It's not had any, Phil. So if you ever want to record with a big Sun and you want to pay the shipping, I'll send it to you.
I mean, I wouldn't say no.
You'll have to get the 7.5 tonner to back up to his house and take it out, but
sure, we can make it back.
I have just remembered, actually, sorry, that you're talking about amps. The local reverend got his holy orders about 2 years ago. This is going somewhere, and said, I know you're a musician. Do you want a Marshall stack? Because I'm being called up to be a missionary and I need to get rid of all my music gear, because he was a local, he just played in local bands. And he had a valve state from 94, 95, I think he said. He's the only person that's ever owned it with a cab. And I took it home and I've never plugged anything into it and turned it on, because I play a bit of guitar, but I thought, that's just been sitting in the shed, and it's just reminded me that I'm about to move house anyway, so I should move it into the new house. Now I've got space.
think we should write a song called "The Local Reverend." By the way, it just feels
The
appropriate.
local Reverend rocks.
Yeah,
And the blessed stack.
and
The blessed local.
yeah, perfect.
There we
The
go.
Local Reverend and the Blessed Stack. I'm in. Yeah.
Somebody write this down.
It's being
Oh,
recorded.
there we go. Yeah. Phil, what was that brilliant genius idea at the start amongst all the nonsense?
Phil, get us back on track quickly.
Yes.
Okay, I'll try. I'll see what I can do. So, all right then, I'll ask a serious question, shall I? How did you all get into music in the first place?
Oh, okay. So, in terms of getting into just sort of playing guitar, I think I've got my dad to thank for that. He's not a guitarist himself, but I think as soon as I expressed an interest in playing guitar, he decided to just bombard me with all of this, Mark Knopfler, Dave Gilmour, lots of kind of classic guitarists. So yeah, it was very easy for me to kind of have a way into it, because he'd sort of paint the picture for me, play me like Money for Nothing by Dire Straits, and just sort of like, be like, come on, you can imagine it, like, the stage is all dimly lit, the dry ice is, you're about to jump out. So yeah, that was how I kind of got into playing guitar, I suppose. But getting into bass, I think it was much like most bassists' journey, where you start off playing guitar and then someone needs a bassist in a band, or you're trying to form a band, and yeah, that ends up being the way, and that's how I found my way to bass. And luckily I really liked it. I loved sort of being that kind of component part of the songs and locking in with the drummer. It's always been really, really interesting to me. So I'm quite happy to sort of play that role of the person at the back. And as you probably heard, I could like to get quite filthy with my bass sound anyway. So for me, like I feel like I've got all the best of both worlds, and I don't have to worry about pulling out a solo, because no one wants to hear a bass solo in our time.
Nobody does.
No.
Well, my dad basically paid the mortgage by being a musician, so that's my introduction to it. I grew up, my first job was putting cassette labels on cassettes to send out as demos for his function band, which is what paid the bills for 30-something years. And therefore you're exposed to every kind of music under the sun. But my dad, who's a similar vintage to Mark's, would definitely play me Deep Purple's Made in Japan on repeat and make me listen to the intricacies of the guitar and Hammond interplay in Lazy and things like that. Started on guitar, and then you realise that it's fun, but there's 1,000,001 guitar players. But also, when I said, I like making noises on synths, because I started to get into electronic sort of vintage 80s pop maybe when I was in my early teens, and I wanted to just make the noises first off. And being that I'm, as I said, quite lucky that I just wanted a synth, and the old man just gave me the synth that he was getting rid of from the main function band, which was only 3 or 4 years old at the time, and a fairly good quality one, which I actually used on the recording, funnily enough. Still with me, 1996 Alesis QS. And and then he said, well, I'll buy you this, but you've got to learn how to actually play as opposed to make noises. So I got lessons and went from, much like Mark, bands need bassists, and bands need keyboard players, even if they don't want to admit they do. So, especially but they'd like to have them, but shove them off in the wings behind a stack and pretend they're not there. And then by virtue of being they've tried to make it that way in the past, and so that's gone into being sort of a multi-keyboard player, being into synthesis, and developed from there. And and then myself and Mark were on the same music production course together at university, as well as knowing each other before and being in bands before that.
What about you, Luke?
I sort of feel like the odd one out in the band, because I sort of don't feel like I play anything. I don't really feel like, I think I do. I can bring something, hopefully. Hopefully everybody feels like I've bring something. Don't all chip in at once.
Yes,
you do. Yes.
I guess,
He's very talented.
I grew up in Exeter, and was in some fairly unremarkable bands. They were sort of fine, but I always really kind of struggled to get it off the ground there, despite the fact that Exeter has quite a good music scene for what is effectively South Devon. And then I moved to Brighton and didn't know anybody here. And as a kind of singer, vocalist / wannabe rapper, I've sort of found it exceptionally lame to just put out an advert saying, front person requires entire band for undefined project so far.
That's how Ozzy Osbourne got his first gig.
Well, that makes me feel a little better, I suppose. And now I'm arrogantly comparing myself to Ozzy Osbourne on a podcast. No, I did eventually get a little bit tipsy one night and responded to an advert which said, new metal and hip hop group seeks frontman. And that was this lot. I met Andy in a pub and went from there, really. And I'm really thankful that happened. It's really weird that they're the two not here to tell their kind of side of that story. Yeah. But they, when I spoke with Andy, he'd said, we've had so little response that we put the whole project on the shelf for a while. And I think, Mark, you might be able to back me up on this, but it had been maybe 3 months or something, and he had to text everybody and say, are you still interested?
Yeah, it was something that was kind of bubbling on the surface, and Andy had spoken to me about this hip hop metal project that he wanted to do, and I think I got added into a few different WhatsApp groups with different vocalists, and something would just never kind of really, nothing would ever come of it, and then all of a sudden you cropped up and things started happening.
I remember after that first practice, Chris is a very kind of calm, pragmatic man, and he's got a really long beard, and he was just kind of stroking his beard and sucking on his vape and just kind of going, yeah, I think we might be able to do something here. That'd be, and there's nothing more disconcerting for someone who hasn't done any kind of music and has never trained in any way for 10 years to not be. What I really wanted was kind of a big double thumbs up and like a pat on the head. And do you know what I mean? Yeah. Well done, you're in, old boy. Let's do this. Just this sort of slow beard stroke and
keeping his powder dry.
I think there's something that we could do there. Yeah,
fair.
And that's for me. I'll keep it short so that it doesn't run on forever. It'll save you a bit of editing. So my story is very similar to sort of Mark and Oscar's actually. So my dad was the professional musician in the house. He used to play full time once upon a time. Gave that up and because he got bored of it basically. So ended up doing other things, but he always had musical instruments at home. And when I was about 5, he bought me one of those little toy kits you see from Argos, and I destroyed it in 5 minutes, like a sound check video. And then a few years later, when we moved up to the north of England, my dad got me a mate of his at work was giving away a snare drum, so he got that and a hi-hat, and that was my start out kit when I was about 9, 10, something like that. And then my dad got me, so I took to that quite well, and my dad got me a proper little kit from someone in the village or something like that, and that was it. And I think because my dad was, by that time, he'd worked for a company called Rank Xerox, which was big in the day. We were playing Christmas dues. I was doing gigs at 12 years old, playing Christmas dues for Rank Xerox and stuff like that, so it was kind of cool. And then ever since then, it's just been school bands, school productions, local bands, and touring, and now I'm here. So yeah, that's it for me.
Just to feel included, my dad was a DJ as well.
Big hey! That's where you get a sense of rhythm and hip hoppiness.
Yes, I knew it.
Yeah, there you go. And also, can I just say, it's off topic, but I'm gonna blow smoke up the proverbials on this lad over here, because as the person who's coming from the least experience, he's the one that has to talk to the audience and engage with the audience. And I had no idea that he'd had almost no experience on the first gig we played together, because I was so blown away by how at ease he was in front of a crowd. And that's still his stage presence now is just, it belays all of our cumulative time that we've all spent on stages together. And it just amazes me how good he is at it.
Well, cheers. That's very kind. Oh, yeah. Lovely. Friend. Oh, thumbs up. And friend.
Musical friend.
Right. Musical friend. Is that copyrighted? I hope not.
Could be
Sorry,
now.
Save it from ourselves.
Yeah, that's all right. So, am I right in saying then that you kind of got together by adverts and things? Is that kind of how it began, or is it slightly different to that?
There was a band that existed locally around here called they were called Man Bites Dog. and that was Mark. No, it wasn't. It was Chris and Andy. And there's a whole sort of family tree of all the different connections of bands that somebody put up on, locally, and how they all connect and everything. So I think there was also like Mark. I'm not quite sure how Mark was already in the equation by the time So how did you get involved, Mark? Because I actually don't know this.
So myself, Andy, and Oscar play in another band occasionally called Deine Mutter, which effectively means translates to your mother in German. What else would you call a Rammstein tribute band that you made when you were 15 and then decided to get back together? Yeah, brief history. We got together when we were 15, won some Battle of the Bands, and then decided wouldn't that be a great idea to get back together during COVID, sort of 15 years later, and decide to do it all again. And at that point, we managed to get everyone back in the band, bar one guitarist. So we needed someone, kind of locally, and that's where Andy came from. So after that, sort of Andy decided to kind of pinch me and said, I'm looking to put something else together. Would you be interested? And having played with Andy, I knew that he had sort of good taste in musicians. I don't know why the hell he picked me, but I think I was the lucky one there. But yeah, and in general, Andy and Chris as well was sort of these kind of local legends that. Kind of when I grew up and I was about 14 or 15, I was at gigs or Battle of the Bands looking up at them and their really established cool bands at the time, thinking, wow, this is really cool. So getting an opportunity to play alongside those guys was something that was really just kind of, nice to be able to like bring it full circle and be like, yeah, I'm back in Horsham and I can join a Horsham band with these these cool elder guitar gods. So that was kind of it.
I'm sure they'll appreciate that upon watching.
That's it. They've never heard that kind of praise before as well. So yeah, they better be watching this at some point if it stays in the edit. But genuinely, it was a bit of like it'd be cool to work with these guys that I've always looked up to. So that's how a long-winded way of how I found my way kind of into the project.
And what's worth noting is that Craig and myself were late joiners to it. So from minute one, it was Chris, Andy, Mark. It was Chris, Andy, and Mark, and Luke, and a drummer. There was no synth or electronics element to it when it started. I did sound because I do a bit of freelance sound engineering, and I did sound for the first gig was not 10 meters from where we're sitting right now, out in that garden. And I was just quite blown away because it was one of those things that just existed. And Mark was telling me that, we got this big band and we're doing this. And I had a totally different idea of what it was going to be. And then when I saw it, I thought, Luminette, this is a bit special. Did a few more gigs on sound in various other venues. Then after a Battle of the Bands where my Poppy Function band was competing in 2023 and Sabotage in their current incarnation was that incarnation was competing. After my band did the first set, I got pulled aside by Mark and the remaining members who said, do you want to become the sixth Sab? Essentially. And I just went, I was thinking at the time I was in another band as well as my dad's function band. I just said yes, because I'll say yes to anything because I'm a bit of a musical tart like that. And I just thought this is the capacity to be really good. That other band sadly disintegrated. It was a touring theatre, rock ballads and rock anthems band for various reasons ended up disbanding. So then suddenly the Sabotage and my other band became the key priorities. Brought in, and I don't even think the first gig there was even any synth. It was just the scratching device and the sampler.
the scratching device.
That's a small DJ scratch pad. It's not like an extendable thing with
a brush on it. Yeah, just for the back. Yeah. It's not a loofah on a stick. Like it's a virtual deep vinyl record mixer with 4 samples on it that you can mix up and just make sound like that vinyl scratching noise. Device. And an Akai multi-sampler with 16 pads on it. Yes. And then 2 gigs after that was like Mark was like, we should put in some synth and keys.
So just to give you the flip side of that, like from the other perspective, being in the band already, like we had you do sound and you would we were getting you to trigger
the samples,
off the stage, which first of all felt massively unfair because you're not in the band, we're getting you to do band work basically because
it's the closest thing to a keyboard player behind a pillar, really, isn't it?
Nobody else in the band has got any fingers spare, basically. And then what we were discussing in practice and stuff was what we really needed was just like a master of all other sound. And then when we went to this Battle of the Band gig and you were playing there, you were doing, it was the first time we'd all sort of really seen you perform. Obviously Mark knew and Andy and Chris knew, but all collectively together, having had this idea about the master of sound and then see you. So it's my turn to return the praise now, right? So you're doing Love Shack by B-52s, and you're doing your best. You're playing, and it's all like plink plonking away, just flawlessly. And you're doing, what's the name of the guy? Fred
Schneider.
Fred Schneider. So to me, I'm just watching you flawlessly play keyboard and go, well, I play the bassoon and had tea with the queen, and I don't know the words to that bit, but
more or less there,
and I was like, oh man, this guy, like, yeah, just this smashed it in one. So let's get him in, and that's what caused Mark to come and just grab you and say, let's do this.
Before Sabotage, I was only known for singing stupid, like half talking songs, like Madness or B-52s, or if you just need to insert a Dr. Zoidberg impression into a song somewhere, then I can provide, hooray, and I can provide it.
And he's done it on the podcast.
There you go.
I owe him a fiver, yeah.
Yeah, I invoiced it, don't worry.
Bucket list goal.
Yeah, and that was it, yeah.
What a varied and useful set of skills.
So, got to let the man talk.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I just, mine in a nutshell was basically the classic band Tinder and speed dating thing. One of those join my band mix type of affair things. And then I met Luke and Andy in a pub at Pease Pottage, or Pease Potage as we refer to it. And just got started in the pub, had a chat, and then came along, had a bit of a play with the rest of the band, and that was it really. And then with in next to no time, we were playing File Fest or something.
Yeah, it was really soon. Yeah,
it was
like 10 days, and we had a festival booked.
Hello, I'm Craig. Oh, I'm playing drums at a small festival in 10 days. So it's ace.
So we'll see you in 5 days because we need to really.
Here's the set, by the way.
Yeah, fun times, and here we are. So
I certainly remember when you first came in, and there was a moment where we were like, oh, we'll probably know after kind of one practice. And I think you when you initially sat down, you were just sort of like tip tapping the drums a little bit, and then you really went for it. And Chris, I remember he turned around, he looked at me and went, "He's great. He's in. Let's have him."
Yeah, I can hear it in his voice. There was no chin stroking. There was no beard stroking on that one. It was straight in.
No chin stroking for Craig.
Yeah.
Well, that's gratifying to hear, I'm sure. So, I mean, have you, talking of gigs, have you had any like nightmare experience gigs where it's all gone wrong, or has it all been?
The first one I did, the second one I did sound for you. That was, I won't name the bar. But, we turned up.
Oh no, that one. Oh,
yeah. And the person who owns this establishment as well came to our rescue on that one because they had a passive rig and said, "Oh yeah, you can use RPA." And I turned up. I bought all the other accoutrements, monitors, XLRs, the mixer, everything. And it turned up and go, where do you plug into the passive PA? You go, oh, well, no one really knows. There's one guy who knows, but he's also the security for the whole road with all the bars, and he won't be back again for another 2 hours. And then by the time he told us, like, oh no, you can't plug into this. It's DJs only. So we've got a passive PA, nothing to play through. We phone up the guy who owns this club, that studio where you said, you know those amp racks I sold you? Can you run them down to Worthing right now? Because we've got nothing to play through. We could set everything up.
I actually think there's a middle stage here, which is that was around, we were supposed to go on at 9, and that happened around 8-ish. And
the first amp
in the first, Andy,
blew up
Andy
upon turning it on.
All the way back here, about an hour's round trip, and got it. And then the moment we got it here, it got it back to the show.
Blew a fuse.
It blew up.
Yes. So I had to go back, and then got that, and then so we phoned up. So Andy, the guitarist, had gone to get the amp. which is fun enough, was one I'd sold to the guy who runs it, which made me feel a bit bad. It's like, that's one of mine.
Didn't know that detail.
Yeah, it was one of the rack amps. But I'm still carrying the guilt to this day. But then we said, right, we phoned up chap who runs it, said, there's one more amp left. Can you please bring that down? And we just we chained this whole thing up and just basically started it on the skin of our teeth. But it was a great gig. It was just that whole, just the furor of
the stress, right?
Yeah, the stress. The other one was maybe where we had a desk where there was maybe like 8 inputs for everybody. So it's a case of deciding what gets plugged in.
Yours are all very amplifier themed, aren't they? I'm noticing here.
Yeah, I think I don't think there's been any. Well, Luke possibly had his terrible experience down at Brighton where he suffered a mild onstage electrocution.
Oh yeah.
What?
That wasn't fun. That's on our Instagram, actually.
It was caused by that man down there.
Lovely show. Really having a good time. And then we're doing our encore, last song, and Mark just was, I don't know, just moving around the stage, I think, and just
bass things
with the the top of the bass against my back. And the whole thing just sent a shock through my entire body.
Wow.
There's a moment, you can see it on the Instagram story, where I just stop and all my teeth go tinny. My entire head felt like I'd sort of been chewing on aluminium foil or something.
we all looked over what's wrong?
No one really understood, but yeah, you could hear it through the PA and everything, through all the.
And you did have that gig at in Billingshurst that literally, because of how Craig had to play in this corner of a pub in a sort of L shape, basically gave him carpal tunnel.
I wondered
just from one gig.
If your answers would be the same, Craig, or if you might pick a different one.
Everyone's experience is different, isn't it? I guess so. It's like a disaster for me. You getting electrocuted. I had a great gig. So
I had a lovely gig on that same night. Yeah.
Me. I mean, the Battle of the Bands, I went straight through my snare drum on the second.
Oh yeah, that's.
And on the first, neither one of them are here to say it, but Andy, Chris. So on the Battle of the Bands, on the rainiest day in existence that I've ever played outside, Andy hit I joined the band, but I wasn't in the lineup for that one particular gig, so I don't think you could enter a different lineup between the heat and the final. So they had to do it, and Craig wasn't on that. Craig couldn't do that. So we had a chap called Weaver step in. He did Steve of the Weaver. He did a very good job. Took on the mantle. On the first note that Andy hit, broken string. On the first note, right, run to the right, and in the time it takes to get the back of the guitar, Chris is doing the entire thing on his own. Second song, first note he hits, bang, breaks another string on the spare guitar. And I think now it's
Chris's spare in the end.
So in the end, it was both of Andy's guitars broke a string on the first one and Chris's spare. And it was like, if one of these goes, that's it. It's basically a rhythm section plus vocals.
Craig, I was teeing you up a minute ago, but I actually don't think we should say anymore because it's making it sound like all of our gigs are disastrous.
The thing is, there's always a problem at any gig, right? It's just does that make it a disaster, or does that just mean it's
the spinal tap fog machine moment where Craig could not tell if there was a band left on stage? Yeah, because the guy turned the fog on and then went to go and get a beer and forgot to turn it off.
Well, it's the fog, and then when you turn around to go, where's that fog coming from? Then there's a laser gate in your eyes, and it's just you can't see anything. It's crazy. But no, there's lots of stuff happens, but it's all character building.
That's just this band as well. That's just we've all Mark and I have worked on the Function band together. We have had some just the sort of it wouldn't make it into Spinal Tap because it's too ludicrous type moments over the last 18, 19 years or however long it is that we've both worked together in bands.
When we played in Southampton as well, we started the set and you start off the set with the sample, but the sound engineer left bloody Bon Jovi or Kajagoogoo still playing in my ears from the house mix because I was running an mix not off the wedges, and so I still had the house music playing through my ears while these guys are kicking off the set. So it was so I'd take my ears out to hear them, but then I just could only hear
nothing else.
I could only hear my cymbals at that point.
Smoke blown time. You kept in perfect time.
Yeah.
Mr. Consistent that you are,
And of course, Craig's the only person on stage who has no mic near his mouth. So he has to lean forward, and he's just leaning into the mic, going, "Turn the house music off."
Yeah, leaning into my snare mic, Phil, trying to just tell the sound engineer to turn up.
Yeah.
But at least that makes two of us who've had exactly the same thing on different bands happen to you. It's like, why can I hear the intro is still looping? They haven't taken it off loop. Please turn this intro off loop. I can't cope.
It's all character building stuff.
Yeah, character building. That's what they say about boarding school.
I mean, when I ask that question to most bands, they just give me one. But,
we should have pre-agreed.
Never mind.
You need to play. Just finish with that, and like fast forward that whole bit with that. And then most bands just tell me one.
Many hours later.
Yeah.
That's all right. Worry not. So, when it comes to music, I know everything you've released so far has been covers, but I've heard talk of original songs. So maybe before we get onto that kind of subject in general, how do you guys write songs? Like, have you got an established process for that yet, or not really?
No, we're breaking into it now, actually, because like you say, we focus so much on doing versions of existing songs rather than just straight covers, I think is probably a fair way to put it. Sabotage was the exception to that, actually, but the rest of the songs are pretty much versions of originals rather than just straight covers. But yeah, we're kind of broken into two camps on this. There's like I've been working with Chris a little bit on trying to get down some ideas that are kind of a little bit more theme and then groove based, and I think you're working with Andy on something that's a bit more sort of like lyrically based and thinking of a
Andy's quite keen on. Andy's quite keen on the idea that something, in order for something to be catchy, you should start with the lyrical idea, and that you can write a hook around that, particularly for a chorus, which I think that's a really good idea. And so, yeah, he and I have been meeting up and just trying, going, okay, well, I've got this kind of line that I think is rhythmical, and we can figure out, we can add a couple of lines in to just get to the end of a chorus. Even if I just kind of hum it out for the minute. But the sticking point comes with, I think we would quite like to maintain the groove and hip hop kind of idea. Heavy guitars meets kind of groovy hip hop, and writing rap with a hook from scratch, I find quite difficult without a rhythm to go to. So it's quite nice to be kind of attacking it from two different points of view. And I was texting Chris the other day, actually saying like, I can feel some lyrics kind of bubbling away in me. It's quite nice. It's not ready to come out yet. It's nearly there.
It's nearly there.
It's kind of like, no, I'm not going to say that.
Still fermenting.
It's still fermenting. Yeah. I'd say that. Yeah.
I've got no input into. I'm working on the premise so that when any of these ideas take fruition, I'll just put some glossy, I'll put some DX7 on the top, and that'll be my lot. But
pretty much same here, but just an octave lower.
Exactly. Mark just does what I do, but just in the rumbly bits. So, just to add gloss, and I just think that that's probably not my forte. I actually think I might be the only person in the whole band that's not been in an originals group. Actually, I don't ever think I've been. I think I've only ever been, whether it's been the function band, whether it's been the theatre rock band, whether it's been Sabotage, but I think Dynamite, it's only ever been covers, and the only original music I've ever written is for comedy purposes, for a set show that did the Edinburgh Fringe. And in which case you're parodying anyway. So I think in terms of if it's someone said go and write a parody of X artiste and it needs to be this long, I think I could probably do it, but I'm sure that ChatGPT is working on making me redundant for that purpose anyway. Yeah. But it didn't exist in 2012 when we played at the Big Bus in the Square. So so it's just
just on the AI thing though. Just what was interesting is like Chris and I were recording some stuff in the room.
Oh yeah,
and we just like he was playing just rhythm parts on the guitar, and I was playing the drums, like really baggy kind of recording. And then like take that and then load that up into Suno and say, fatten this up for me, basically, the AI music tool, Suno. So load it in that and say, do that and add some this, that and the other. And all of a sudden it's like gives you a sense of what it could become, saying what it will become, but it gives you a sense of what it sounds like a bit fatter. to kind of
that was really useful for me, because it also is helpful to identify what you kind of don't like.
Yeah.
Like, I found it quite useful to go, oh, that kind of hook that they're doing there is quite nice, but then the words are nonsense. Like the follow-up line that came out after it, that it spat out, I was like, well, that's not very nice. Like, it just doesn't mean anything, doesn't do anything. But it just gets it going. It is quite an interesting tool for that, to just hear very quickly, like you guys writing a track. And I shouldn't be picking up AI. It's a tool. It's a means to an end. It's a means to an end. It's not the be all and end all. It should be used as a tool to help, but it shouldn't be used to cheat. I think that's the topic. Yeah. I think just to it wouldn't be fair to Andy, who obviously can't be here tonight because he's poorly. Poorly, such a dad word, isn't it? He's sick. He's got the lurgy.
Dreaded lurgy.
He always says that despite us being a kind of quote unquote covers act, that it's got the feel of an originals project. When we even when we are approaching a cover, our kind of attitude to it is, how can it be what people know but not? We've never liked. Something I've heard Chris say as well is, you don't want people saying, you don't want to play, say, Last Resort by Papa Roach and have people go, I really love Papa Roach. You want people going, this is a really good band. Like, what they've done with it is really interesting and really different. And
you've coined a phrase for what you do with it, the effect, which is what Luke calls the look up from your pint moment, which is usually all down to him as well, because Luke, he won't credit himself on this, so I'm going to do it for him. But Luke's pretty much the person who's come up with every mashup idea of taking, here's a pop song of the era, here's a new metal song type rock metal song that we do. Let's put that on that for maybe a verse and a chorus, and he'll bring it into rehearsal. He'll say, right, just play this song as it is, ignore what I'm about to do, but play through, and then at the end of it, tell me what you think. And it's pretty much been 100% success rate of, mate, that's awesome. Like, coming in and bringing in Genie in a Bottle by Christina Aguilera to put on top of Papa Roach, everybody was like, oh, that's brilliant.
There is that lovely moment when you're doing it in a bar, and you do just get that guy who's at the bar at the back, and he's holding a pint, and then the just look of kind of shock in his face, going, are they okay,
but that's
right, fine,
but it's not, but that's the effect we want.
So again,
and that's
cheers. You really bigging me up. I'm going to go home with a massive ego, and I'm already a lead singer.
That's all right. It's just you're right. Your wife will tell you the bins, and then that'll be that.
Sure, I'll come right back down.
Yeah, that's what these people. That's what is there. So,
go rescue us, quick.
Yeah, save us.
I can save you if you like with another question. Hooray!
Hooray!
So, when it comes to recording, what's your approach to that side of things?
Well, this EP, unfortunately, Chris would be the person who'd be the best qualified, because it was him that came in with right, you might think this is a bit mad, but I think this is how we can do this recording that we submitted to you. You'll know what this is, Phil, because you'll have bound to work with them. He bought in a Boss BR recorder. Are you familiar with those?
Vaguely, yeah.
They're a bit old. They're about the size of a large mobile, like the largest smartphone you could get, like wallet size, and it's a 4-track micro recorder, hard, like a hard disk micro SD thing. And he said we can record 1 track per time on this with a metronome, and then send the 2 guitars and the bass as a root, like a core, over to Craig. Craig can do the drums in his home studio. I can do all the synths in my home studio using the interface that we're using to talk to you. And then Luke came down and did the vocals
on the Boss.
On the Boss. Yeah.
On the Boss.
Oh, you did do them on the Boss, didn't you? Yes.
With a comedy mistake of playing the playback track and the metronome through the PA whilst recording the vocals. so when Phil's mixing, you'll hear this occasional bing.
Oh, yeah, the metronome. The first time we trigger the metronome, it sounds uncannily like the intro to Are You Being Served? So it's sort of like a cash till and capacitor. Ching, and we're just all staring at Mark running down this bass line. It's the don't start singing ground floor perfumery, stationery, and medicine. I can't not do it.
What was that you were saying about comedy tracks earlier?
That's it. My brain goes straight there.
Nobody will get that reference.
No. That's what happens when you're raised by someone who was old in the 70s. So,
I was going to say, to kind of paraphrase that, it was a really kind of, we didn't think it would work. It's a really unconventional way of doing it, I suppose, because we did the guitars backwards. We did that just to a click track, so it was literally just on strength of us all kind of being tight and knowing the sections of the song. It was a very odd way of doing things, and I think we were just so amazed at how well it came out that at that point it sort of made sense to try and do something with it, because once Craig had put the drums down to it, it suddenly just became this actual fairly decent recording that just needed a little bit of TLC, I think. But in terms of, I think, kind of the raw tones that we tried to capture, we sort of just lucked out really with it in that respect. But it was a kind of nice, happy accident.
But that's our theme, isn't it? This kind of like this guerrilla warfare to recording that we have. It's kind of like everything that we do that we kind of punk out like this seems to go really well for us. And then when we start overthinking it, it just gets complicated or doesn't happen. So it's like actually getting 80% there just through like these kind of means where it's just like we just punk it out basically seems to get us the furthest. It's the same when we did the recording. I don't know if you've heard that one, Phil, but the live at the Multi in Horsham. This track, that's just like recorded from the desk.
That was a week before we made that. I put on the chat. We've done this partly, sadly not there anymore, and it was a stalwart of the Horsham music scene. It was the music pub run by a guy who loves music. He's a musician himself, put a very good PA in there, very nice digital desk. And about a week before we had the gig, which were very kind of a known quantities to do it, we went, does anyone know if Sam's desk got one of those like built-in USB recorders? And Andy said, yeah, I think it does. Said, well, should we take a USB to the gig and just plumb it in? And we messaged the guy, the landlord / guy who's mixing us, said, would you be happy for us to just make sure this records? And he said, yeah, it's fine. And he got a good sound on the stage, remarkably good sound for what was essentially playing in a fireplace, which any band that did the Malt Shovel will tell you, for some inexplicable reason, that weird combination of playing in an alcove with a fireplace in it just works. And there was
Shout out the Malt Shovel.
Shout out to the Malt Shovel. We've immortalised it on the cover, live at the Shovel. And I remember that Craig took the multi-tracks home and messaged and said, lads, we don't need to do a lot to what we've got. This already sounds pretty good. Sent us some of the raw stuff, and we're like, that sounds, that was before Craig had put any fairy dust on it, which he then did.
I just want to caveat that with it's not Phil quality fairy dust.
It's definitely not Phil quality fairy dust.
This is mere Craig fairy dust. It's not
which is still very good. He's
Craigie dust.
Craigie dust. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Not the filter.
Yeah, it's not filter. But that was just if it works, it works. If it doesn't, what have we lost? So essentially, we more or less got paid to record our live album the way that works out, being paid for the gig, and we got paid to record the live album, which we have released in a hard format, really, for anyone who
because as we all know, the future of music is in physical media. Yeah,
my library would say so. Yeah.
Just one last thing on the recording that I feel that I have to mention, because it really, I think, exemplifies the kind of guerrilla thing that Craig was talking about, the kind of guerrilla style, is that during the rappiest of the 3 tracks that we got you to mix for us, Phil, I was being chased around the room by a hornet.
Really?
But didn't miss any words, so I'm quite proud of that. I think there might be one little slip up, but I'm not going to say where it is, so as not to draw any attention.
That's by the way, that's not like Craig's kind of sort of eccentric producer manner of getting the best results out of his charges.
One in on purpose.
It's not a Phil Spector kind of poke you with. It's not a Mutt Langer poke you with a stick to hit the higher notes. He doesn't just have a pet hornet waiting to.
It did really suit the vibe though, so we did leave it in.
Yeah.
I was going to say, you decided to stick with the Hornet take.
I know. God
knows
why we didn't just do another take. Like, it would have been fine. Like,
so the buzz on the ambient is not any kind of electrical It's not any kind of electrical mishap or sort of bad earthing. It's literally just like the result of a humid summer and a lack of pesticide at Craig's house.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Well, to be honest, I thought you'd recorded it completely live in the room. I didn't know you recorded it separately. So
no, the drums. I think we might have done a play along for some of them, but I think all the guitar parts. I think for one of them I played along, but was recording directly into it. So playing live drums in the room, but obviously not recording them because the amp was like a Sans amp thing, was going straight into the Boss. But no, it was all the guitars and vocals were recorded here except for one.
Yeah.
And the drums were recorded properly back at my shed.
Mark, you'd remember, we've got neither guitarist here, but what was the modeler that we used to put the guitars down after your bass had gone down?
So, well, as far as bass went, it was my board effectively, then just into a dark glass. Oh gosh, what do they call it? It's their little preamp thing they have. So that allowed me to kind of put it through like a power amp and a few EQ filters and ultimately a cab just to come out to hit the recording that way. And then with the guitars, I believe we actually initially we did the original takes because this box that Chris has actually has like guitar amp models built into it that you can record with, despite being about 10, 15 years old. It sounded okay. So we got, I think, the initial ghost tracks with that, and I think the guys then went back and used positive grid bias to effectively record their parts in. So again, all sort of modelled stuff, really.
Positive grid bias.
Is that a prog band? I'm not familiar with their work.
Yeah, they toured with the Flower Kings last year. Yeah.
I went too nerdy, didn't I?
I understood what you were talking about.
I can see Phil nodding like, oh, right, yeah,
I know about them.
Yeah, it's a plug-in.
All right.
Positive grid bias. Yeah. Yeah. If all fails, we'll restart as a prog band with that title.
Yeah.
You might have a few copyright issues with that, but feel free. Feel free.
Yeah, it could get litigious.
So I feel like the answer to this question might be chaotically, but how is the band managed? Do you have is there one person who's kind of in charge? Do you share out tasks? How does that work between you?
Luke is being a teacher. He's very good at getting people to pay attention and rally them around. And I seem to remember in the early days, like Luke would always sort of treat it almost like a meeting. We would have an agenda. We would have 15 minutes allocated to look at the new pedal that Chris or Andy have maybe got and discuss the advantages that. And I think that Luke really leaned into that side of things. But I think so. Yeah, we'll like. Primarily, we'll all pick up little tasks, but I think Luke is generally kind of the grand overseer, as it was in terms of what we must do, or kind of what kind of organising things. So yeah, very much the dad role in that respect.
But Oscar does sound as well. So every gig we do, Oscar does sound.
So
Andy, you and Andy kind of bring the line.
We provided between the two of us, because we both got vans and gear. We provide.
Fans.
the front line, the back line, the monitors, XLRs. I just basically, between the two of us, we go to our respective garages and do that. And my only contribution to the actual sort of songifying, as it were, is probably finding suitable sound effects or coming up with maybe loops or samples to put onto the Akai sampler, which is a big part of the sort of sound, the live sound, as it were, for Siegs, maybe like a Sieg between a couple of songs. And then trying to get the synth sounds to sound as close as they can to the original, I think.
Chaotically, Phil. Do we manage chaotically?
It's controlled chaos.
It's controlled chaos.
There is order.
I would like to say I've eased up on the agendas for, it's been a long time since I've bought an agenda. I think
the whiteboard doesn't get used this much.
In the early days, for sure. And I think maybe a part of this was because I hadn't done it for a long time, be in a practice room for like 8 years maybe or something, that I was just really itchy and just really wanted to crack on and know what we were doing. And sometimes we would come away from practice and would feel like we hadn't quote unquote made it as far as we wanted to, or that we had kind of derailed ourselves a little bit. And now, as you say, Phil, now we kind of welcome the derailing. now we almost, and I'm as bad as anyone for going, did you see that thing? Here's an Alan Partridge quote. Here's a comedian I saw a reel of the other day. Here's a joke that I told to my students the other day. Oh, did anyone see that news article? Yeah, it's like that, but it's not just me doing that. It's everybody then going, and another thing, and then
a bit like this interview, really.
A bit like this interview. Yeah,
it's tangential for the first maybe 20 minutes, half hour of most practices while everyone's plugging in and getting monitored up and tuning. But then when it's actually down to the nitty gritty of getting songs organised, we know what we're there for. We know that we're there to do it right. And if it means that we, as opposed to packing down at say 9:45 when the deadline's at 10, like, right, we need to get this right. So let's hammer it out. And if we're still here, we'll hammer it out. We'll aim to get it done by 10, and then we'll start packing up. But actually, we do have quite good discipline, but also I think we have an unspoken rule of, if you think you can get us a gig, feel free to say, I could get us a gig here, because that's something that all of us are quite capable of doing. Between all of our, Andy and Chris have been gigging together for 20 something years, and myself and Mark as well in another life, and with Mark's time in originals bands and Craig's times in originals bands, contacts have built up. So there's people. Luke's very good at getting gigs, very good, and he's also a diplomat. He's a very good diplomat.
It's all the time off that teachers get. Time off, Yeah. I'll just sit in the summer and email in my deck chair. Yeah, exactly. Swinging with a
pina colada in one hand. Yeah.
I was picturing myself in one of those rattan again, much like this one, but on chains.
Yes. With a mint julep in your hand.
I'll dig myself out. Anyway, basically that's time to kind of hammer promoters with emails, isn't it? Basically.
And if you've got that time,
and that's what happens, and we try and book into the next year.
And I am responsible for gaffer tape.
Yeah, gaffer tape.
Craig's downplaying, because every sort of piece of, we need this loop sorted, or taking, Craig pretty much mixed all the live album by himself, and collated all the stuff to give to you as well. So when there's like a technical, when there's a piece of tech that could help us out, Craig's the first person to go, I'm thinking of experimenting with this. This could be really helpful for us. And also it's very diplomatic, because what you can't see in the corner is the Bayring XR18 that collectively, between us and the band that I'm in, because we'll never be booked on the same night, we thought originally when we started, that we have a very, very good technical, if there's something that's going to benefit everybody, we'll all throw in for it. So everybody splits the cost on a new piece of gear if it's going to make life easier, and no one ever says, oh, I don't want to pay for that, or I don't want to put in for that thing. So
you're quite good, Craig, for, you tend to have a bag full of Sharpies. Nice.
I have Sharpies. I have a Leatherman. I have gaffer tape
that kind of stuff.
Screwdrivers.
Oh man, I really wanted to film this gig, and I've got 17% battery. Craig's like, I've got a charger. What port?
Yes. What USB does it take? Yes.
What speed do you want? Do you want the supercharger or the? I really don't mind.
If he's the band dad, I'm the band granddad, basically. with a tool shed with all the things like screwed to the ceiling and everything.
He's got that shadow behind the 8mm wrench, that you pull away.
That's me. Anyway,
chaotic is
the answer. Yeah.
Well,
organised chaos.
Fair play. So, I mean, what do you guys think has been the biggest success of the band so far? And you can all have different answers to that. You'd have to come up with the same. Could be a moment. It could be a certain kind of event.
I personally wouldn't say it's an event. But my whole thing that I noticed is that I think what we've achieved with it is that we can go and do a gig in the most dank of metal clubs and go down extremely well. But also, I've got this. There's a social group that I'm part of that's mostly just single. But it's not a bragger. It's literally just a thing.
Think that you were going to say
there's a social group that I joined very recently, and it's
back to swingers again.
Yeah, well, it's predominantly it's predominantly single people from a certain place. And they said, we want to go and see your band, and I went, I don't, but it's quite it's quite heavy.
Sorry, I think you might have to stop a second while you'll chuckle.
It's quite heavy, and but I've been in your houses. You listen to Magic and you listen to Kiss FM. Social events. Do you mind?
Oh, sorry.
This is vivacious. This is borderline litigious. Your laughter is almost determining litigious.
So you're telling us about your single friend group?
Yeah.
So a few of them came down to a gig that we did, and I thought I really almost wanted to say, I know what you listen to. I'm not sure if it would be up your alley, and they loved everything. They loved it. So we can play in like the heaviest of metal, like a sort of dank punk club and go down a storm. We can also play to people who would listen to Kiss and Magic FM, not dull down anything we do, and still come across great. The only reason they're laughing is because they know about the stuff I'm missing out.
Sorry. I'm struggling. Sorry. Oh, God.
I think that's a good. I do. Despite all the laughing and how unusable all of that's going to be.
No, it's going in. It's going in.
I don't mind it.
I do. I get what Oscar's saying there. With in that lots of we think that it's got kind of broad appeal. So I do get what you're saying there. I think for me, the kind of biggest thing that we've achieved. That I really get a kick out still is seeing us on Spotify.
Oh yeah.
When that all went live, that was super exciting. That was just really cool. And there's been lots of or I guess you could just call it going, digitally publishing music, because it's on all of them, isn't it? It's on
everything,
Deezer, it's on Apple Music, it's on Amazon. And kind of coming up with the artwork for that and naming it and just seeing it like kind of there and thinking like, whilst it's not, unfortunately in this day and age, a moneymaker, it just is. And what's been interesting is seeing all the kind of knock-ons from that. So, for example, I discovered fairly recently that we can add music onto our Instagram stories, our versions of those songs, and that's cool. Like no other cover band that I've seen does that on their kind of reels or their stories, and I think that's what makes this band particularly special to me, at least, is and harkens back to that thing that Andy was saying about us being kind of an original band that just happened to do covers or reimaginings or versions, however you want to name them, but I see plenty of bands that are doing kind of covers or tribute bands that are to specific things, or people that are even doing our era, but their videos on Instagram and always have the original versions. And that goes back to that thing of, you kind of don't want people pointing at the old band and saying they were great. You want them pointing at you and thinking that you're great, that what you've done is interesting and worthwhile. And so for me, that was kind of the real peak. And we specifically selected the tracks that we asked you to do, Phil, because we felt that they were the three that
best demonstrated what we do.
Demonstrated that, Sabotage being the title track and Gangster's Paradise being something that we built from the ground up, and then I've got 5 on it being this kind of weird mashup that goes somewhere that you completely wouldn't expect. For me, that's the thing that I think we've achieved the most, particularly this year.
The legitimacy of just having something that you can just send to somebody. You can go, oh, where are you? Because if you're in a covers band or something like a function band or something, you spend your whole life in a function band, you can tell your mates that you're in a band that you think is really good, but unless they get married or have a birthday party or are invited to either, they'll never see you play ever. But some people can see. I've got a mate who hasn't been able to see us play until very recently, and he goes, "Oh, what are you like? I can't get to any gigs." But you go, well, it's difficult to explain. Now you can just go, "But there you go. That's what we sound like. That's literally us." And that's such a massive difference to say to anybody in the world, "This is what we sound like," and it's still our take on something else, but it's still unique to us. They go, "Oh wow, that's really good." And the majority of the time, it's the feedback I get from people who haven't seen the band is that's not what I was expecting, which I think is almost sometimes the best compliment you can get.
No, I think it's very much the same. It's and I think it also harks back to what Andy, what we mentioned that Andy had said before. Really, was that I don't know with this band, I've spent a lot of my life playing in originals bands, and then I kind of around COVID got into playing more covers, and really enjoyed it. But there's something where there is that distinction between songs that you can kind of pick up with anyone. But then there's songs within this band that are very much we've made them our own. You couldn't go and play that exact version of what we've done with another band. Then it would become a cover of a cover, if that makes sense. So I think it's being part of something like that's it's got its original stamp in a kind of covers world, and we've been able to do something creative with that's it's just nice to see people coming out and kind of getting involved with the nostalgia of it all. I think that was something that when we started it, we didn't necessarily, but we were sort of doing it more for ourselves, being like, wouldn't this be funny? But then the more it kind of we saw people enjoying it, it was like, actually this is great, because this is all what we were listening to 25 years ago on Kerrang and MTV2. So it's been nice to put something out there that kind of gives people that cool experience on a Friday night.
So I mean, what goals do you guys have for the next 6 months to a year or so? It can be as specific or vague as you like.
I think we're probably looking to kind of play larger venues. We played in Southampton at the 1865 there as a support for Evanescence. That was a pretty good show. That's a great venue.
It's really good.
And some more of that. Play festivals, things like that. That's what we want to get more onto, and play, sort of move up to larger venues, support slots initially in larger venues. I think. I'd like to get into London. We'd love to get into Camden and play around there a little bit more as well. If anyone's listening, that would be just saying hashtag. That would be great.
I think what we'd all like to also be is that band that comes on sort of at the end of the evening of a festival when everyone's having a really good time. They're really drunk, and you just get that band that comes on and plays loads of fun covers. I think we'd go down well in that slot. So if there's anyone who wants to book us for that, we'll be your guys. We'll go on at 1 a.m. We'll do an in-ear show. It's fine.
We've done. I think we've been the headliner at 2 festivals in the space of the same year, wasn't it? So we did File Fest and Murfest. Yeah. So I think that's where what I noticed when I joined is this is where the response is fully unbridled, when there's no sort of pub rules or bar rules and people just let loose. The reaction to it is it's almost feral, really, at some points with some people. And more of that for the new year. That would be the aim, is to play places like that. As Mark said, festivals. We've got studio recordings and live recordings as a combination to send out with your great handiwork, Phil, and using that as a springboard to get onto that same thing, but on a bigger scale.
I was going to say that's the other thing as well. I'd love to do a proper studio recording, not recorded in the Boss, but go into a proper studio with proper gear and record it. That would be lovely. And the other thing that we keep flirting with the idea of, but haven't nailed down yet, is going on a band writing retreat for a few days or a long weekend or a week, and just going somewhere very remote that we can play very, very loud and not disturb anyone, and just have a go at writing and bashing out some ideas. That's a bucket list thing for us, I think.
This is close where we are now, but
pretty close,
but there are some neighbours, and the chap who owns it, who does like a bit of noise, but not all the time.
So it's the idea of having all your stuff set up 24/7 and just wandering to the kitchen to make a coffee, and then just I'm going to jump on the drums for a minute.
Exactly.
Let's work.
Let's work it. Getting it together in the countryside. as the old rock adage goes.
Do you hear yourself?
Yes, that's why I said it.
Phil, how?
I'm not sure I can help you get it together.
I think last kind of thing.
I said getting it together, not something else.
I said what you said.
I think like last kind of thing on the kind of festivals idea in terms of goals is like we talked a bit about the kind of broad appeal. I think that could be anything from like there's a festival called Rock and Ribs, which is a fully American themed. They have like monster trucks and wrestling and all American. And I just feel like we would be amazing on a bill like that. Like it would just go exactly, just go down really, really well. But equally, there's like the family festivals that like there's one nearby that I went to. Oh gosh, what's it called? The one in Uckfield.
I know the one you mean.
We're Elderflower Fields. So it's mostly aimed at kind of families. But what I noticed was that at around about 9 o'clock, there's a definite shift in like the kids have gone to bed kind of vibes is what's happening now. And they had like a fairly serious drum and bass act on that were for the parents to have a party. And I think that we absolutely could appeal to that as well.
We have played our first wedding this year.
We played our first wedding.
Where there were children present and they still enjoyed it.
If I'm honest, as much as I loved Marcus and loved Marcus's wedding, I wouldn't say that doing more weddings is on my goals.
No, I've done enough of those to last a lifetime.
We did it for him as a favour.
Did it for him out of love and respect.
Yeah, because he's done a lot for us. He works in radio, I mean, he turned up at one of our early shows. In fact, that worst gig that we were talking about, the very first one in Worthing, where the PA blew up. He knew us from that show and has been somehow a fan ever since. To the point where he was dishing out flyers for one of our shows on the day, like turned up 2 hours early. We never asked him to do that, so we did that for Marcus as like a favour. But as much as
what I was getting from it is that there is footage of 3, 4, and 5-year-olds having the time of their life listening to it, which you wouldn't think, but they think it's great because it's noisy. And
there was one kid like this though, with his fingers in his ears, going.
But there was another kid with ear defenders on, jumping up and down, having the time of her life. And I thought, if we've made her happy tonight, then that's we've done our job.
Oh gosh,
nice. So my penultimate question for you: what's your best piece of advice for bands nowadays?
Learn how to use your gear. It sounds like really straightforward. Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. Yeah, you see, I'm trying to be polite about it. You're finding all the innuendo.
It's so easy when you talk, though, man.
Tune your instrument. That's
yes,
and not with the volume on. That's.
Don't buy an 800 quid sampler and then say, "Can I borrow someone's tuner?" As one particular gig with a sport act had an occasion of. Gear is cheaper than it's ever been. It's better than it's ever been. So if you're going to form a band and be independent, don't cheap out if you don't have to. Because I would say it will help you. It will make your life easier. If you're going to buy a new piece of kit, go away and learn how it works in private if you can. And then bring it, prepared. Don't sort of, trial run it on a gig.
Do you know what I really want is that on a plaque, like, because it was so long.
The one piece of advice.
The one piece of advice. Wow.
Yeah, it's like Star Wars.
There's a back tattoo
with brackets.
I think Phil, the other thing as well, and I think you did a podcast on this, is about what does being tight mean, and being tight is it requires work, and it requires, like, you need almost like a connection between your bandmates to kind of be able to anticipate what they're doing next. It's not about doing the hours, it's having the feel as well. And that's why you can be with some bands for ages and it just doesn't gel, it just doesn't lock in because you don't have that chemistry. And I think you have to get to that point to be able to be really good at gigs. And I think that sets you apart. It's one of those things it's very difficult to quantify the tightness when you're playing live, but people perceive it and they understand the difference between someone who's absolutely nails and someone who feels like they're a little bit sloppy and they've not quite finished Mustang Sally on the one or whatever it is. You definitely get that vibe.
So. Do you want to tell me something? What's going on?
I'm going to try and go profound with this one if I can and make it snappy. And I'm going to go with something is always better than nothing. So I guess what I mean by that is what you were saying earlier, Craig, about the recording and the kind of live album. Like it was very much a case of like, let's just give this a go and see what happens. And I guess if you're thinking about advice for other bands, you know, you can apply that to almost anything. You can apply that to what you do with your set list. You could apply that to how you organize your social media. You could apply that to your attitude to approaching promoters. But yeah, just doing something is always better than nothing. Even that video that you've been editing for ages, it's better for somebody to see it than for it to sit on your phone.
There is a phrase for that. Is don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah. It's more, but that's slightly better than mine, which is annoying. I thought I'd nailed it,
and it fits on the
and it also fit very neatly on like a nice sort of.
I can do concise when need be.
Okay.
What about you, Mark?
So I'll go down the profound route as well. I'd say always try and bring the best version of yourself to a rehearsal. Like everyone faces their day individually. And it's easy to kind of bring that into a rehearsal room, bring that negative energy. And I think it's sometimes about reframing that and realizing why you're there in the first place and that everyone's there to have a good time. So it's always, about trying to, bring the best version of yourself. And in that way, you're all going to have a great time.
Amen.
Amen. I think if you've had a really bad day, if I have a really bad day, then it's like, but at the end of the day, at least I get to go and make some noise with awesome people. And I think that should be if you had a bad day, that will be the best part of your day.
So we're looping around now because that helps with the connection thing that kind of that Craig was talking about.
And I think
in being tight.
Exactly. And I think Craig's right, because it's one of those things you can't define it or write it on paper with being locked in. It's one of those things like, you might not know it's there, but you notice if it isn't.
It's a vibe.
It is a vibe. You either feel it or you don't.
All about the vibes, you know.
Yeah.
Phil?
Always about the vibe.
Yeah.
Profound. All about the vibe.
and long-winded. Not profound, but long-winded. Yeah.
Fair enough. I mean, my final kind of question / thing is to close out the podcast. I'd like to ask for your favourite song that you've released from the band to play at the end of the podcast. So which song is it and why? And you have to agree on one song, sorry.
We just pick one from...
I think that it's got to be Sabotage. It's kind of our namesake. It's where we took the name for the band from. It was the very first thing we worked on, and it's come with us all the way through. It fits. It genuinely fits anywhere in the set. I think we open with it, and it's amazing.
We put it in the middle on another gig.
And I also really love. By and large, it does sit at the start because it's just a really great mission statement, a real great statement of intent about what we're going to do and what we're all about. But we played it towards the end. In fact, I think we closed with it at that brewery that we did recently. It's really fun to see people kind of going nuts to it.
And also, people always go nuts to it, and you mixed it, Phil.
That's what I was just going to say. Is that your did we call it fairy dust earlier? Is that what we
sprinkle some fairy dust on it?
Phil's magic dust.
Phil's magic dust. All of everything that you did to it was just gave it next level, and we love listening to it on in the car in particular. It's great car music.
Yeah, it is. It's a good one to test your subs to, and it's also like the equivalent of when they say the name of the film in the film. It's that moment for us. It's like it's that moment. It's like, and it does as a song start the set. We have a little intro to it, which is like the Pearl and Dean thing that's popped up a little bit, which feeds into it, and it's just it very much says this is what we're all about straight out the gate, and it's sort of a builder thing, and it's never had a muted response. Let's put it that way. It's always had like an absolutely electric response. Even if we played it with the roughest conditions, the worst sound, whatever, it always doesn't matter. It's always hit them over the head in the way we've done it. And now we can just send that to people we like and go, that's what we sound like.
Fair play. Well, This is Sabotage with Sabotage. Guys, thanks for talking.
Thanks very much for having me. Cheers.
Thanks, Phil.
Sabotage. So listen up, cause you can't say nothing. You shut me down like a push of your button and yo, I'm out and I'm gone. I tell you now, I keep it on and on. What you see you might not get, and you can bet. So don't you get souped yet, scheming on a thing that's a mirage. Trying to tell you now it's sabotage. Listen all y'all, it's a sabotage. Listen all y'all, it's a sabotage. Listen all y'all, it's a sabotage. Can't stand it, I know you planned it. I'ma set it straight this water gate. I can't stand rocking when I'm in this place, because I feel disgraced when you're all in my face.